You have no idea how many times I stood still, holding back the fullness of judgment, just so you could have one more chance to glance upward. I delayed divine appointments, shifted angelic schedules, and quieted heaven's trumpet sound for your sake. While others ran toward their destiny, I paused eternity to let you breathe one more time beneath the weight of grace. You think it's coincidence you're reading this, but it's the evidence that I've been tracking your every breath, hoping this exact moment would arrive. You ignored my first whisper. You overlooked the warnings I placed in your path. You hardened your heart when I tried to soften your circumstances. Yet I stayed. I remained when everyone else gave up. I didn't fold my hands in disappointment, I opened them wider in mercy. I whispered louder when you drifted farther. And now, as your time narrows and distractions multiply, I'm sounding the final alert. This is no longer about delay, it's about decision. Heaven is not casually watching. It is urgently waiting for your yes. I'm not reaching you for curiosity, I'm reaching you for rescue. Can you not feel it in your chest, the ache that refuses to be ignored? That is me. That is love in its vile form, patient, pierced, and pleading. I do not beg, but I will break open the heavens to interrupt your cycle of silence. Look at me, not for answers but for survival. Because this isn't just another message, it is the boundary between the life you've chosen and the life I designed for you. And I will wait forever. You've exhausted your mind, scrolled through endless feeds, and chased after voices that promised peace but delivered confusion, yet the answer has always been waiting, not in the noise, but in the stillness where I dwell. I never stopped speaking, you just stopped listening. My words are not hidden in riddles, they echo in your spirit every time your heart aches without understanding why. You asked for direction, but wouldn't pause long enough to receive instruction. I called your name in the midnight hour, when your mind was racing but your soul was paralyzed. I whispered truth in moments you were about to make dangerous decisions, hoping you would sense my nudge and reconsider. But distraction became your idol and speed became your god. You want me to speak louder, but what if I'm waiting for you to become quieter? What if the answers you're begging for require your stillness more than your strategies? I am not far, I am at the edge of every breath you take. My voice was in the eyes of the stranger who smiled at you without reason. My presence was in the shiver down your spine when you hesitated to cross that moral line. My answer was in the dream you shrugged off and the message you almost didn't open. I'm not being silent. I'm being consistent, you just haven't slowed down to realize it. I don't want to be your last option. I want to be your first response. The questions that torment your nights would vanish if you truly opened your heart to my presence. I am not hard to find, but I will not fight for attention with your distractions. I don't compete for a heart that doesn't want me, I wait, plead, and prepare. But this is my last attempt before silence becomes my strategy. You cursed the heavens when the door slammed shut, but you didn't see the fire behind it that I was keeping you from walking into. You saw delay, I saw devastation. You called it rejection, I called it redirection. Every time you wept over something you thought you lost, I wept too, not because I was being cruel, but because I knew you didn't understand I was saving you. I cannot let you step into something that would have destroyed your purpose just because you were impatient. You were about to commit to what would have drained your soul, and I had to intervene, not because I enjoy your disappointment, but because I know the plans I have for you are far greater than what you were willing to settle for. I barricaded relationships, halted opportunities, and disrupted your comfort not to cause you pain, but to force your path back to mine. I will not allow you to mistake a counterfeit for a calling. I will not allow you to walk into something I never authored. The closed doors you hated were the same walls that preserved your destiny. I know you don't always understand my no, but I need you to trust it the same way you desire my yes. If you only knew what was waiting beyond your surrender, you wouldn't cling so hard to what I removed. The denial was protection. The ending was mercy. The unanswered prayer was not me ignoring you, it was me intervening before you slipped too deep into something that looked like a blessing but would have been your undoing. Let go of what I closed before it reopens as a trap. This is not cruelty, it's correction soaked in compassion. You kept saying, "If this is really you, show me something," and when I did, your eyes blinked and your heart dismissed it before your spirit could recognize the holy interruption. I arranged moments that weren't coincidences, they were calculated glimpses of my mercy. That unexpected phone call at the exact moment you felt alone, that wasn't chance. That song playing in the background when your soul was about to break, that wasn't random. That stranger's words that pierced through your despair like an arrow of light, that wasn't a coincidence. But every time I stepped into your path with a signal, you convinced yourself it was meaningless. I didn't send lightning because I know what your soul needs isn't drama, it's clarity. I've been subtle because your heart has grown too noisy to notice anything less. I sent dreams you barely remembered, hoping one image would cling to your spirit until morning. I move in silence because your world has been too loud, and I knew the whisper was all that could reach you now. You want fireworks, but I've been setting fires in the places you buried. Every near accident that didn't happen, every closed door that protected you, every sudden gut feeling that told you not to proceed, those weren't instincts, those were interventions. I have not abandoned you to figure it out yourself. I've been involved in every detail, planting signs like trail markers in a forest of confusion. And even now, this very moment, this very message, it's not just another post or another thought. It's the clearest sign I can give before the silence becomes final. You want me to shout, but I'm already speaking louder than your distractions. The real question is, will you pause long enough to understand what I'm saying? Or will you rush past the sign again and wonder why you're still lost? You don't realize how sacred this second is. While you think you're just casually reading something on a screen, I am standing outside the timeline of your life, watching the one moment that changes everything arrive. This is not spontaneous. It's strategic. I built this point into your journey before you ever cried your first tear. I shaped the second before you felt your first pain. And yet, here you are, scrolling past moments like they mean nothing, not knowing this one contains the very rescue you've begged for. Do not treat this moment as common. Eternity is brushing against your soul, and you have the choice to either inhale it or ignore it. This isn't about curiosity anymore, it's about collision. Heaven's timeline is intersecting yours, not to entertain you, but to deliver you. I waited until your heart was tender enough to be touched and your pride had been bruised enough to finally bow. I waited until you ran out of your own solutions, so you could finally hear the voice you've drowned out for too long. This isn't another delay tactic or emotional detour, this is a divine turning point, and it's happening now. If you move too quickly past it, you'll miss the intersection that was always meant to shift your entire future. And what's worse, you won't realize what you missed until the weight of your choices forces your knees to the ground. I'm not saying this for fear, I'm saying it because I love you too much to watch you continue sleepwalking through the sacred. My presence is in this very breath. My voice is echoing beneath your skin. This isn't just another day. It's the appointed hour. What you do next will either lead to divine acceleration or deeper delay. Please don't scroll past destiny. It may never come wrapped like this again. You've pictured me as distant. Remove it, residing somewhere unreachable in the sky. But I have never been confined to heavens when my heart beats inside you. I'm not beyond galaxies, I'm within your size. I'm not across dimensions, I'm within your atmosphere. That breath you just released, I was in it. The tear that just welled up without permission, I held it. You keep saying I feel far, but that's because you've stopped leaning in. My nearness doesn't vanish, it gets ignored. You can't sense me in chaos because you've taught yourself to expect me only in peace. But I am Emmanuel, even in the tension. My nearness is not a reward for your good behavior, it's a promise sealed in blood. You don't have to perform your way to me. You just have to be still long enough to remember I never left. You can't outrun me, outsin me, or outsuffer my love. I've sat in your silence, stood in your sorrow, and waited patiently in your rebellion. I've watched you pray for me while pushing me away with every distracted decision. I am not offended by your doubt. I'm drawn to your desperation. I don't need your perfect theology, I need your surrendered honesty. Whisper my name right now, and I'll flood the room with my presence. I'm not hiding, I'm here. You just haven't looked with your spirit yet. Every anxious breath you take is an invitation for me to fill your lungs with calm. I want to be your first instinct, not your last resort. So stop telling yourself I'm far. I'm closer than your own pulse. And I'm not waiting in the distance, I'm waiting for your attention. This turbulence surrounding you wasn't meant to break you, it was designed to wake you. What you've called chaos, I call correction. What you've labeled misfortune, I've orchestrated as mercy. I've shaken the ground beneath you, not because I'm angry, but because I refuse to let you keep walking on a foundation that was never solid. You asked me to bless you, to guide you, to use you, and yet you built your trust on people who change and plans that collapse. I couldn't answer your prayers without first dismantling what was never meant to last. This storm isn't a punishment, it's a redirection. I sent the winds not to push you down, but to steer you toward safety. You were drifting further from me, and had I let you remain comfortable, you would have never known the danger ahead. So yes, the ground shook. Yes, the skies turned dark. But not because I abandoned you, because I pursued you. I stirred everything around you because I couldn't stand the thought of you staying stuck in what's killing your purpose. I know you're exhausted. I see you reaching for clarity in a whirlwind of questions. But listen to me, this isn't the end. It's the warning before destruction. I'm not letting you drown. I'm inviting you to step out of the boat and walk toward me again. That loss you didn't understand. It was me closing the door before the fire came. That friendship that fractured unexpectedly. I removed what was polluting your heart. That delay in your plans. I robbed you to save your soul. You've been interpreting pain as rejection, when it's actually the clearest proof that I'm still involved in your life. If I didn't love you, I'd let the storm consume you. But instead, I'm calling to you from within it. I'm still here, even when the thunder is loud and your faith feels faint. I haven't stopped watching. I haven't stopped fighting for you. And this storm, this very storm, is your final wake-up call. Don't wait for the flood to rise higher. Don't keep pretending this is just life being unfair. It's not life, it's me. I'm shaking everything because I'm desperate for you to return before time runs out. Turn back. Let the storm drive you into my arms before it's too late. There are weights on your shoulders that were never assigned to your spirit. I see how you clench your fists around regret, how you wear shame like it's stitched into your skin, how anxiety wraps around your mind and refuses to loosen its grip. But child, don't you remember? I already paid for what you keep punishing yourself over. That guilt you revisit every night. I nailed it to the cross. That failure you think defines you. I erased it before it reached heaven's courtroom. The heaviness you feel is not a sign of strength, it's the evidence of misplaced ownership. You weren't created to carry what I already claim. You weren't designed to absorb what I've already covered. Every sigh you exhale beneath the pressure of trying to fix yourself is a signal that you've forgotten who your Savior is. I didn't bleed so you could keep breaking. I didn't rise from the grave so you could remain buried beneath memories that haunt and voices that lie. You keep reaching for solutions, but I've already offered myself as the answer. When you said, I can handle it, I watched your heart sink deeper. When you told yourself, I deserve this pain, I whispered, but I already took it for you. You've convinced yourself that being strong means pretending you're not wounded, but I'm telling you that true strength is handing me your scars. Why do you still replay what I've already redeemed? Why do you keep reopening wounds that I've already healed beneath the surface? You've tried to earn peace by overthinking. You've tried to numb the ache by staying busy. But none of that can substitute surrender. I don't need your performance, I need your permission to carry what's been crushing you. And I won't take it by force. I wait until you finally lay it down and say, I'm done pretending I can do this without you. I'm not asking you to prove your worth, I'm asking you to remember mine. I didn't rescue you so you could live like you're still trapped. I didn't adopt you so you could act like an orphan. Come to me not with rehearsed prayers, but with honest brokenness. Bring me the secret weights, the hidden fears, the silent exhaustion. I won't shame you. I'll lift you, but only if you release what you were never meant to carry. Let it go, now before it suffocates what's left of your hope. The reason your strength keeps running dry isn't because you're weak, it's because you're disconnected. You've been running a race without water, carrying responsibilities I never asked you to hold by yourself, trying to navigate storms with no compass and no anchor. You keep waking up, dragging yourself through the hours, wondering why everything feels heavier than it used to. But child, I never intended for you to survive without me. You weren't built for self-dependence. You weren't created to figure everything out on your own. The fatigue isn't failure, it's a signal. Your soul is showing signs of spiritual dehydration because my presence hasn't been your resting place, it's been your last resort. You've been fighting battles with your fists clenched when I've been waiting for you to lift your hands. You say you trust me, but your actions scream isolation. You don't need more strategies. You need surrender. I see how you go through the motions, smile when you're hurting, try to stay strong for others, and push your own pain to the background. But this weariness won't lift until you admit you're not meant to carry the weight of your world. I'm not watching from a distance, I'm walking beside you, but you've stopped noticing. You don't hear me in the quiet anymore because you've drowned your heart with noise. You don't feel me in the rush because your pace has outrun your purpose. I am not asking you to collapse, I'm inviting you to lean. I'm not suggesting rest as a reward, I'm offering it as a necessity. Stop pretending that you're fine when I can see the cracks widening beneath your surface. There's no shame in reaching out. There's no weakness in needing me. That's why I came, so you wouldn't have to keep doing life on your own terms. Come back to dependence, not the kind that enslaves, but the kind that sets you free. Walk with me, not ahead of me. Talk to me, not just about me. Let me carry what's crushing you before it destroys your focus completely. Don't wait until your soul collapses before you finally admit what I've known all along: you were never supposed to walk this path without me. You've been pacing in circles, frustrated with delay, irritated by unanswered prayers, confused by repeated setbacks, but the real issue isn't timing, it's authority. You keep placing orders in the spiritual realm without consulting the one who governs it. I see the plans you lay out, the goals you obsess over, the timelines you desperately try to enforce, yet none of them include me at the foundation. You want me to bless what I wasn't invited to build. You ask me to breathe on blueprints you never laid before me. I don't just want to be your emergency contact when life unravels, I want to be your counselor at the first thought. Your frustrations aren't because I'm holding something back, they're rooted in you moving without my voice. You execute, then pray. You decide, then seek confirmation. You act, then ask for rescue. But that is not partnership, it's spiritual negligence. You've placed yourself in the driver's seat and wondered why the road keeps leading nowhere. Don't confuse movement with progress. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're blessed. Just because doors open doesn't mean they were mine. You've mistaken approval from people as green lights from heaven, but I've been standing at the corner you refused to turn, waiting for you to stop following your own compass and let me recalibrate your direction. I don't want to fix what you created in rebellion, I want to offer something entirely different through surrender. I am not an accessory to your ambition, I am the architect of your assignment. If you keep excluding me from your process, don't blame me when the result leaves you empty. I'm not delaying you, I'm inviting you to slow down and seek me first. What you're calling stagnation is actually divine resistance. I won't allow you to move forward in something that will end up leading you further from your calling. I love you too much to let you prosper in pride. I won't endorse a path that doesn't glorify me. Bring your decisions back to me before the consequences force you to. You don't need another opportunity, you need alignment. You don't need more options, you need obedient. Invite me back into the room. Not for your addition, not for virality, but because without me, your plans will crumble no matter how solid they look from the outside. You've looked at their success and wondered if I forgot you. You've seen people advance, gain recognition, step into opportunities, and you questioned why your name wasn't called, why your time didn't come, why your hands remained empty. But you only saw the surface of their story, not the hidden cost, not the weight behind their applause, not the consequences attached to their choices. You believed you were overlooked, but what you didn't realize is that I was sheltering you. I was covering you from what you were the equipped to carry yet. I was keeping you from blessings that would have crushed you prematurely. Not every elevation is safe. Not every promotion is from me. Some of what looks like favor is actually a fast track to destruction. And while you felt left behind, I was shielding you from spiritual collisions. You were angry that I didn't give you the platform, but I saw that your heart wasn't ready for the pressure that came with it. You felt small because you weren't recognized, but I was more concerned with making sure you were rooted before visible. I don't want you rising too fast and falling too far. I care more about who you become in me than what you accomplish before people. I let doors close because what was behind them wasn't aligned with your calling. I let certain circles exclude you because their influence would have tainted your purity. I let delays hit your dreams because timing without character is a setup for collapse. I've hidden you for protection, not punishment. And in that hiddenness, I've been refining you, preparing you, fortifying you. You didn't fail, I covered you. You did miss it, I preserved you. Every no was a divine safety net. Every silence was a wall keeping danger out. Stop measuring your worth by their spotlight. Stop comparing your pace to their path. You are not behind. You are guided. You are not forgotten. You are chosen. When it's time, the covering will lift. The right people will see you. The right doors will open. And you'll step into what's truly yours, not stolen, not rushed, not counterfeit. But if I allowed you to rise before you were ready, you would have mistaken applause for purpose and crowds for calling. Wait a little longer. Trust me a little deeper. What you think is delay is actually divine insulation, and it has kept you from disasters you never even knew were near. I watched you sit in the stillness and question if I had left. You waited for me to respond, and when nothing came, you assumed I had turned my face away. But child, silence doesn't equal absence. It means something deeper is being revealed. I step back at times not to abandon you, but to reveal what remains in your heart when the noise fades. Anyone can follow when the blessings flow and prayers are instantly answered. But I wanted to see if you'd still trust me when I whispered nothing. If you'd still seek me when I didn't immediately move. If you'd still believe when the doors stayed closed. My silence is never empty, it's layered with revelation. I was testing your posture, not punishing your spirit. I was exposing what had your attention when I didn't interrupt your routine. You say you want me, but when I pause, your loyalty shifts. You say you trust me, but when I delay, your mind wanders to alternatives. In the silence, I uncovered what applause had been hiding, what busyness had numbed. I was showing you the parts of your faith that were conditional. The parts that loved me for outcomes, not intimacy. The parts that depended on activity more than presence. I don't speak to entertain, I speak to guide. And when I withheld my voice, it was to develop your hearing, to deepen your discernment, to remove your dependency on signs and make you hunger for my character. I was there in every quiet morning you felt alone. I was there in the tearful nights where your pillow held your prayers. I never moved. I never left. I just waited to see if your pursuit was consistent or convenient. You're not being ignored. You're being refined. The fire is not punishment, it's purification. And the silence, it's the loudest classroom in the kingdom. When you stop hearing, you start searching. When you stop receiving, you start wrestling. And in that tension, I meet you differently, not as a genie who grants, but as a father who shapes. Don't resent the stillness. Embrace it. Because what I'm forming in the quiet places will sustain you in the loud seasons that are coming. The silence wasn't me walking away, it was me working deeper. So don't quit. Don't assume I'm gone. I'm right here watching, waiting, whispering through the stillness to the places of you that noise could never reach. You've wondered why your name wasn't echoed, why rooms didn't call for you, why opportunities passed you without explanation. You thought maybe you lacked something, that perhaps your voice wasn't strong enough or your presence not radiant enough. But let me tell you what you did see: your absence in their spotlight was my deliberate sheltering. I have been hiding you not because you're insignificant, but because your calling is sacred. When something carries weight, it is not displayed recklessly. Fine oil is sealed tightly. Rare treasures are kept away until the appointed time. You are not common. Your preparation hasn't been public because your purpose is not for entertainment, it is for impact. I've been developing you in silence because what you carry would have been contaminated had I released you too soon. You weren't ignored, you were protected from premature exposure. I saw what they couldn't. I knew the battles you were not yet equipped to face. I knew the temptations that would have seduced your hunger. I knew the critics that would have crushed your spirit before you understood who you were. So I kept you in the cave, in the quiet, in the unnoticed spaces, not to hurt you, but to build you. I was stretching your capacity before the weight of the assignment rested on your shoulders. I was anchoring your identity so that applause wouldn't define your worth. The silence you hated was the very shield that preserved your authenticity. You felt invisible, but heaven was surrounding you. I didn't let your name rise in rooms that would have mishandled your calling. I did allow those platforms to seduce your purpose. Because what's coming isn't small. I don't launch just to impress, I reveal when the vessel is ready. And child, you are nearing that unveiling. But even now, don't rush to be seen. Don't chase what I'm preparing to release. Let me finish what I started in the hidden places. Because the mantle on your life is not for popularity, it's for purpose. And when I open the doors, they won't be fragile. They won't be dependent on man's approval or sustained by performance. They will be rooted in my timing and marked by my fingerprints. I didn't forget you. I refined you. And when the veil lifts, what I've formed in secret will silence every voice that questioned your delay. You've been pleading for action, for signs, for a breakthrough to interrupt the heaviness. You want movement in your life, but you haven't yet laid down the very control that's keeping me out. I cannot invade where I haven't been invited fully. I cannot finish what you will release. You want me to shift the atmosphere, but you continue to hold the reins, steering your own way even while calling my name. That is not trust. That's negotiation. And I didn't bleed to bargain, I came to redeem completely. The reason the change hasn't arrived is not because I'm unwilling, it's because you're still partially surrendered. I can't operate where pride refuses to yield. I cannot build on a heart divided between me and your conditions. You're standing at the edge of transformation, yet clinging tightly to your terms. And until your grip loosens, until your will bows fully, I will wait because I love you too much to force what your heart is not ready to receive. I am not late. I am not silent. I am still here, with hands full of what you're asking for, but I will not place destiny into fingers that won't let go of their own agenda. Surrender is not weakness, it's the opening through which my power flows. It's not passivity, it's authority in its highest form. When you surrender, heaven responds. Chains fall where control ends. Clarity comes when striving dies. But as long as you're still managing the timing, the outcome, and the process, you've chosen your way over mine. I've been waiting for one moment of full release. Not half-hearted, not temporary, not emotional. Complete. When you finally lay down the expectations you've used as leverage, when you stop asking me to prove myself and simply invite me to lead, then you'll see me move in ways that defy explanation. I don't want to be your consultant. I want to be your king. I'm not here to adjust your plans. I'm here to write a new story. So stop asking for a miracle while resisting the method. Let me have everything: the hidden fears, the backup plans, the silent compromises, the just-in-case strategies. All of it. Only then will the floodgates open. Only then will what you've been waiting for finally arrive, not on your timeline, but in my perfect will, wrapped in glory and sealed with purpose. The moment you surrender fully, the miracle already waiting will no longer be delayed. You've been interpreting the waiting season as punishment, as if I've revoked my promises or erased your prayers. But listen to me, beloved, delay is not the same as denial. I haven't forgotten what I spoke over you. I haven't changed my mind. I haven't misplaced your name in the book of destiny. What you call delay and I call construction. What feels like a standstill is actually an invisible blueprint being etched into eternity's design. You see silence, but I see progress. You feel stuck, but I see your roots growing deeper. I never withhold out of cruelty, I delay out of care. I'm not holding you back to frustrate you, I'm holding the moment until you're ready to carry what I promised without crumbling under its weight. Because gifts without grounding become burdens. Platforms without process produce pride. You want the fruit, but I care about your roots. That's why I've slowed you down, not to torment you, but to fortify you. I had to teach you how to wait, how to trust, how to remain stable when nothing makes sense. If I had released it when you asked, you would have mishandled what was meant to multiply. You would have made the blessing your identity, the answer your idol, the timing your focus. But now, in the tension, I'm shaping you into someone who can receive without being consumed, who can lead without losing integrity, who can carry weight without collapse. Delay isn't me withholding, it's me preparing. It's me closing gaps in your spirit, healing cracks in your trust, and reinforcing the parts of you that would have broken under pressure. Stop thinking it's wasted time. I never waste what I author. Even the stillness is strategic. Even the waiting is woven with purpose. You haven't missed it. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be for me to complete the refining. I know it feels like everyone else is accelerating. I know the temptation to compare is fierce. But your story is being written on a timetable not ruled by the clock, but by calling. And I don't rush masterpieces. I take my time with those I love. This waiting is not punishment, it's precision. And when the moment finally arrives, it will be so clearly saturated in my fingerprints that you will understand why I couldn't let it come any sooner. Hold still. Trust deeper. The delay has meaning, and the promise still stands. Right now, in this very moment, you are closer than ever to what I've been preparing behind the scenes. You are closer than you've ever been to the release you've cried for in silence. The shift is not coming, it's here. But so is the enemy, whispering louder, cluttering your space, fogging your clarity, because he knows what's ahead if you press just a little further. He doesn't fear your past. He fears your persistence. He knows the impact of your obedience would cause a ripple across generations, and that's why the noise has increased, the distractions multiplied, the spiritual tension thickened. Have you noticed the sudden confusion, the emotional instability, the temptation to quit things you once believed for with all your heart? That is not coincidence, it's a coordinated strategy to cause you to miss what's waiting just inches ahead of your surrender. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you if he can simply detour you. He's not always trying to take your life, he's trying to delay your impact. You've been asking, why now? Why all this pressure suddenly? And I say to you, because the gate is about to open. You are at the final stretch before the outpouring, and everything is trying to convince you that it's not worth it, that you're not ready, that it's too hard. But I've already declared what's coming, and the pressure is proof that the promise is near. Your fight isn't meaningless, it's confirmation. But the danger now is not whether you're strong, it's whether you'll stay focused. The most dangerous threats to destiny rarely come in the form of destruction. They arrive quietly, disguised as opportunities that seem good, paths that seem easier, voices that sound familiar but are void of me. You must guard your attention like a treasure, because what steals your focus now could cost you your breakthrough. Stay with me. Stay locked in. Don't scroll away from your miracle. Don't numb yourself with noise when clarity is trying to reach your soul. I'm here. I'm moving. I'm speaking. And this is not the time to blink. Don't back away when you're one step from everything shifting. I've come too far with you to watch you slip at the edge. Let the distractions fall. Let the detours be exposed. Fix your eyes. Lift your heart. The breakthrough you've prayed for is not beyond reach. It's standing at the threshold, waiting for your undivided attention to step through. I'm not here to entertain your emotions or simply add to the stream of content that passes by unnoticed. I'm not placing words on this page to inspire a moment and be forgotten the next. This is not a suggestion. This is a motivational push. This is a final cry from the one who formed your soul and has been pursuing it relentlessly. I've watched you scroll past answers I sent. I've seen your eyes skim over warnings I whispered through strangers. I've listened to your voice pray for direction and then ignore the very path I revealed. And still, I'm here. Still bleeding. Still reaching. But not without urgency. Not without weight. This moment matters more than you understand. I am speaking, not just for comfort, but for confrontation, because the danger of your current distance is greater than you realize. Your heart is drowning beneath layers of distraction, and the noise of this world has become your new language. You've gotten used to the chaos, to the constant stimulation, to the endless voices that promise ease but deliver emptiness. And in the middle of that storm, my whisper has become harder to hear, not because I stopped speaking, but because you stopped making room. This isn't about silence. This is about saturation. You filled every space with something else and left me no place to land. So now, I am shouting through stillness. I am pushing through your resistance. I am pressing on your soul with an urgency you can't ignore. Because this is the moment. This is the threshold. This is the divine interruption you didn't ask for but desperately need. You prayed for help, but now help is confronting your habits. You've prayed for change, but now change is calling out your comfort. I'm not asking for part of you. I'm not requesting a fraction of your time. I want all of you now. Before the distractions dig deeper. Before your attention is hijacked beyond repair. Before numbness becomes your normal. I am breaking into your pattern to give you one more chance to choose life over delay, truth over confusion, purpose over performance. This message is not an option, it is a lifeline. I don't need your applause. I need your response. I don't seek your momentary emotion. I seek your eternal alignment. I've been waiting, but I will beg. This is not just another chance, it is the final one before your next decision sets a path you can't easily undo. Listen, truly listen. Cut out the noise for once. Let this message take root. Because if you treat this like all the others, if you let it pass like a breeze instead of a burning wind, you'll miss the very rescue you've been unknowingly waiting for. I'm not giving you more time, I'm giving you this time. And what you do with it will echo far beyond today. You keep asking why the joy doesn't last, why the peace disappears so quickly, why the inner ache remains no matter how many new things you chase. But the truth is simple. You're placing eternal hunger in the hands of temporary answers. You fill your mind with noise and your time with movement, but none of it touches the deep well inside you, the one I created to only respond to me. You try to satisfy your soul with distractions dressed as solutions. You scroll through highlight reels, hoping for connection. You pile up achievements, hoping they will silence the questions. You numb the unrest with entertainment, hoping it will quiet the storm. But it doesn't work, does it? Because the soul cannot be fed with substitutes. You were created with a hunger that only eternity can satisfy. That emptiness you feel isn't weakness, it's direction. It's a compass pointing you back to the only source that was ever meant to nourish your core. I see how you've tried to outrun the ache. I see how you've tried to replace it with relationships, with work, with goals, with noise. But the void remains not as a flaw but as a signal. That space is where I'm supposed to dwell. But instead, you filled it with things that sparkle for a moment, then leave you even more depleted. You're spiritually starving while surrounded by options that look full but carry no substance. You've been eating what doesn't nourish, drinking what doesn't quench, hoping that someday it will be enough, but it won't. Because only my presence can reach the corners you've been avoiding. Only my word can breathe life into the places that feel dry and barren. You don't need more stuff, you need sacred connection. You don't need another distraction, you need divine alignment. I'm not angry that you've tried other things. I'm heartbroken that they've failed you, and you've blamed yourself instead of realizing you've just been reaching in the wrong direction. I've been here, arms open, presence near, voice constant. I'm not hard to find. I'm just not loud like the world. I wait, patiently, until the emptiness finally breaks through your defenses and you turn toward me, not out of fear, but out of longing. You don't need to perform to get to me. You don't need to fix yourself before returning. I'm not asking for perfection, I'm asking for access. Let me fill what nothing else has been able to touch. Let me be the answer that never fades. Because every other remedy has a shelf life, but I am eternal. And I am the only one who can satisfy the hunger you've been trying to silence with everything else. Come back. Let me pour into what's been running on empty. The refill is waiting, but only if you stop feeding your soul what was never built to sustain it. You've exhausted your strength on every strategy the world had to offer, hoping that anything would finally fix what's broken inside. You've rearranged your routines, chased new relationships, immersed yourself in busyness, followed advice, repeated affirmations, even performed rituals dressed as faith. But none of it lasted. None of it changed the ache that lingers when the lights go out and the noise settles. You stood in front of doors that promised relief and walked away heavier than before. You followed paths that looked promising, only to find them looping back to confusion. You spent your energy managing your pain instead of surrendering it. You've tried escaping instead of healing. And through it all, I've been right here, not as a last resort, but as the answer you've overlooked. I never forced myself into your chaos, but I've never walked away from it either. I waited while you searched. I remained while you wandered. I protected even as you resisted. But now, I'm asking you to stop running in circles and finally turn around. Let go of what's failed you and trust the one who's never left. You've given pieces of yourself to what couldn't hold you. You've poured your emotions into hands that weren't steady. You've trusted ideas that lacked truth. You've leaned on your own understanding, forgetting that it's limited and fragile. My way is not trendy. It doesn't always make sense in the moment. It requires surrender when your instincts want control. It demands trust when you crave clarity. But it leads to peace that cannot be shaken. It leads to purpose that won't collapse. I'm not offering you a shortcut, I'm offering you the truth. I'm not handing you convenience, I'm inviting you into transformation. Yes, it will require change. Yes, it will confront things you've buried. But it will restore what nothing else could. Trying harder hasn't worked because the answer was never in effort, it was always in alignment. You've given so much to everyone and everything else. Why not finally give me your full yes? Not a hesitant agreement. Not a temporary try. A real yes, the kind that leaves no backup plan. The kind that says, I'm done with half-hearted living. I'm done with pretending. I'm done with wandering. My way won't look like theirs. It won't always feel familiar. But it will be worth it. Because I'm not offering you another coping mechanism. I'm offering you resurrection. You don't need another method, you need me. So here I am again, not with condemnation, but with invitation. Try me not just in words, but in the decisions that follow. Try me not when everything else falls apart, but before it does. Give me space. Give me time. Give me the seat you've given to your fear. And I will do what no system, no habit, no effort, no person ever could. I will restore what you thought was lost forever. But it starts with this, and choice. Right now. You've tried everything else. Now will you finally try me? You've gotten so used to hiding your pain that you've convinced yourself even I don't notice it. You laugh when you're breaking. You help others while silently crumbling. You've become skilled at functioning through the ache, pretending you're strong when your soul is unraveling in silence. But I see it all. I see what no one else does. I hear what you don't say. I feel the weight you carry in rooms where no one suspects you're drowning. The pain you bury beneath your duties, the sorrow you press behind smiles, the deep ache that surfaces when the world goes quiet. None of it escapes me. I've been there in the late night stillness, when your chest tightens and your eyes fight to hold back emotion. I've stood at the door of your heart while you collapsed in private, whispering to yourself that no one would understand. But I understand. I always have. Those unshed tears, those silent breakdowns, those invisible battles I gather everyone. They are not wasted. They are not unseen. They are not ignored. I'm not distant from your sorrow. I am inside of it. I do not flinch at your brokenness. I hold it like treasure. A world taught you to mask it, to move on quickly, to numb what's too heavy. But I've never asked you to be perfect. I've asked you to be honest. I don't need your composure. I need your truth. You don't have to perform for me. You don't need to rehearse your emotions or filter your fears. I can handle the flood you've been suppressing. In fact, I'm the only one who can cleanse you through it. You've been so strong for so long that you've forgotten you're allowed to be fragile in my presence. You've comforted everyone else while telling yourself, I'll be fine, but I see the cost. I see the parts of you that feel invisible. I see how you question if anyone would still love you if they saw the mess beneath the surface. But I see it, and I love you more, not less. You are not weak because you feel deeply. You are not failing because you weep behind closed doors. The depth is not your downfall, it's the place I want to meet you. Let me into the places you've kept locked. Let me hold what you don't know how to fix. You don't have to earn comfort, I've already assigned it to you. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. That includes you. The tears you never let fall in public, those are the ones I catch with both hands. Those are the cries I bottle, the groans I interpret, the silence I break with my nearness. You've wept in secret, but healing is coming openly. I will restore what you've wept over. I will breathe on what you thought was too broken to ever be whole again. But I need you to stop pretending you're okay when you're not. Come to me with the raw, the real, the ruins. Because I don't just heal the surface, I rebuild from the foundation. And child, I've seen the tears no one else has. And those are the ones that have moved heaven on your behalf. You keep crying out for a breakthrough, asking me to come down and change the situation, to intervene, to deliver, to fix what feels too far gone. But I need you to understand something. Rescue is not just about escape. Rescue begins with return. You're asking me to lift you out, but I'm calling you to come back in. Back into alignment. Back into the place you once left. You've asked me to pull you out of the fire, but you've forgotten that you walked away from the shelter I had built for you. I didn't lead you into the chaos, you drifted there, one small compromise at a time. And still, I'm here. I've never closed the door. But I will not violate your free will to drag you into safety while your heart remains distant. I could rip the chains off, but if you haven't returned to me, you'll reach for them again tomorrow. I could silence the storm, but if you won't anchor yourself in my word, you'll be tossed around by the next wave that hits. You don't need a temporary escape, you need transformation. And transformation doesn't begin in your environment. It begins in your posture. You've asked me to show up with miracles, but I'm asking you to show up with repentance. Not shame, not self-hatred, true turning. The kind that lays down every alternative and says, I'm done running. The kind that stops looking for exits and starts building altars. You want me to break the cycle, but I can't do that while you're still entertaining the lies that created it. I'm not punishing you, I'm pursuing you. But rescue isn't magic. It's mercy met by movement. I will meet you the moment you take a single step toward home. But you must decide. I'm not just after behavior change, I want your affection back. I want your heart recentered, not just your hands raised in desperation. I want your roots planted, not your emotions momentarily stirred. Return to me, not to religion, and not to empty ritual. To me, I am not far off. I'm right where you left me, and I'm still calling. But every day you delay your return, the pull of your environment tightens. Every time you silence conviction, your sensitivity shrinks. And eventually, the cries for rescue become echoes in a life still chained. But it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to stay where you are. Return not halfway, not hesitantly, not conditionally. Fully. I am ready to pour out what your heart has been longing for, but I will not do it while you keep wandering from the well. Rescued is not just me reaching down. It's you looking up. And right now, this very breath, you can choose to come back. Not for comfort, not for temporary relief, but for me. Because where I am, chains melt. Where I am, cycles break. Where I am, the rescue isn't just dramatic, it's eternal. But it starts here. Come home. There's a reason you've been overwhelmed lately. Not everything you're facing is random. What looks like ordinary pressure is often a targeted attempt to keep you spiritually paralyzed. The enemy isn't just attacking your circumstances, he's aiming for your focus. Because if he can steal your attention, he doesn't need to steal your future. If he can keep your mind racing, your confidence shaking, your emotions unstable, he knows you will begin to lose sight of what I've promised you. You've noticed the constant interruptions, haven't you? The pull toward comparison, the heaviness that comes out of nowhere, the confusion that clouds decisions you were once sure about. That's not just life, it's warfare. And it's subtle because the enemy doesn't always show up with chaos, he often shows up dressed like convenience. He'll fill your time with endless distractions, convincing you you're too busy to pray. He'll whisper lies that sound like logic, telling you nothing's changing, so why keep trying? He'll orchestrate delays, not to break you instantly, but to slowly drain your hope. But I see it all. And while he plans detours, I've already mapped out your deliverance. I didn't call you to survive cycles of confusion, I came to break them. I didn't save you so you could live under spiritual harassment, I came to raise you up with authority. But I need you to stop treating distractions as harmless. I need you to start guarding what you let enter your spirit. Because what you tolerate eventually takes root. Every time you let discouragement sit too long, it tries to redefine who you are. Every time you delay obedience, you give space for deception to feel like comfort. You've been trying to figure out why you feel stuck, but the real issue isn't that I've stopped moving. It's that your focus has been hijacked. And it's time to take it back. This isn't about discipline, it's about deliverance. You can't walk into what I've planned while still entangled in what was never meant to follow you. The enemy has no authority to destroy your purpose, but he'll do everything to delay your alignment with it. That's why I'm calling you now, not just to survive, not just to endure, but to walk out of everything that has been draining you in the background. It's time to rise in clarity. It's time to silence the distractions. It's time to say no to every thought that doesn't reflect my truth. And you won't do it in your own strength, you'll do it through me. I've already won the battle you're facing, but you must stand in agreement with that victory. Stop agreeing with fear. Stop echoing doubt. Stop rehearsing defeat. What you repeat becomes what you believe, and what you believe shapes what you step into. I want you delivered. Not just emotionally stable, but spiritually free. Not just slightly better, but completely transformed. But it starts with attention, with intention, with surrender, or focus. Reset. Return to what I said before the noise got louder. I haven't changed my mind about you, and I never will. The question is, will you shift your gaze and walk into the freedom that's already waiting? There's a sound I've been releasing over your life, but you've been caught between channels trying to discern my whisper while your heart stays connected to the static of everything else. You're scrolling more than you're seeking. You're absorbing more opinions than you are revelation. You say you want to hear me, but your ears have been filled with everything except my voice. You wonder why clarity feels out of reach, but it's not because I stopped speaking. It's because your soul is overstimulated by noise that doesn't come from me. I speak in truth, not trend. I move in presence, not performance. And when your affections are divided, when your attention is constantly drawn to what's fleeting, you begin to lose sensitivity to what's eternal. I won't compete for your focus, not because I don't care, but because I value your freedom too much to manipulate it. I've waited patiently for you to tune your heart back to the right frequency. I've nudged you through restlessness. I've stirred your spirit in quiet moments. I've allowed discomfort to unsettle your routine, not as punishment, but as a pull back to purity. I want your undivided ear, not because I need your validation, but because you need my direction. The volume of the world has grown so loud around you that silence now feels like absence, but I do some of my deepest work in stillness. You're surrounded by voices, each one promising insight, relevance, solutions. But none of them created your soul. None of them know your end from your beginning. None of them wept over your future the way I have. And yet, you've given them access. You've let them shape your identity. You've let their opinions affect your decisions. And all the while, my voice has been pushed into the background, waiting for permission to lead again. I don't shout over distractions, I wait until you realize they've never fulfilled you. I don't force my voice through the chaos, I whisper to see if you will value me enough to silence everything else. Because when you choose to realign, when you decide that my word carries more weight than culture, that my voice deserves more space than your schedule, that's when clarity begins to return. That's when peace finds a home again. You've been asking for signs, but what you really need is sensitivity. And sensitivity is cultivated in stillness, in prioritization, in intimacy. I'm not far away, I'm just not found in the noise you've become addicted to. I'm found in the quiet place, the surrendered space, the posture of listening. You want direction for the next season. It starts with shutting out the frequencies that were never designed to guide you. You can't walk into divine instruction while clinging to distorted influence. Let me retune you. Let me adjust the channel of your heart until my voice is the loudest one you know. Because in a world filled with chaos, discernment will be your compass, and discernment is born in proximity to me. Step back from the noise, child. Come closer to the one who doesn't just speak information, but transformation. I'm not asking you to disconnect from the world, I'm asking you to reconnect to me. And when you do, everything that's been confusing will begin to make sense again. Not because the world changed, but because your frequency finally did. You've walked roads I never chose for you, spoken words I didn't write, made decisions that bent your path away from my intention, and yet, I never walked away. You distanced yourself from my presence, but I never withdrew my covering. While you wondered, I watched. While you resisted, I remained. You thought you were hiding, but I saw every step. And even then, I didn't condemn you, I protected you from the full weight of your own detours. There were nights you should have lost everything. There were choices that should have cost you more than they did. There were moments you thought luck saved you, but it wasn't luck. It was my mercy. When your actions shouted rebellion, my love answered with restraint. When your back turned from me, I stayed behind you, guarding, grieving, waiting. You did see it then, but I rerouted storms that were never meant for you. I held back consequences that would have broken you. I whispered truth into darkness that should have swallowed you. I didn't remove my hand, I just waited for your heart to soften enough to feel it again. You blamed me for the pain, but I was the one limiting its reach. You questioned why I allowed it, but had I not stayed close, it would have been worse. I never stopped claiming you, even when you refused to acknowledge me. I never removed your name from my plans, even when you tried to write your own story without me. That's what love does. It doesn't quit when it's rejected. It doesn't vanish when it's misunderstood. Love stays, and I've stayed. Through every high and low, through every promise broken and every vow ignored, I stayed. You think because you rebelled that I revoked my purpose for you. But I don't cancel covenants, I call prodigals back into them. You were never disqualified, you were just distant. And now I'm calling you again, not with guilt, but with grace. I'm not here to replay your mistakes. I'm here to reveal how much still remains. You don't need to earn your way back. You don't need to make speeches. Just come. Come back to the one who never stopped hoping you would. The one who kept holding your destiny in place while you explored everything else. I didn't remove my hand because I knew you'd need it again when your strength ran out. I knew you'd come to the end of your rebellion, and when you did, I wanted you to know this. You were never too far, never too broken, never too lost. My presence didn't wait until you were good, it followed you even when you were reckless. And now that you've slowed down enough to hear me, I'm not here to scold. I'm here to restore. Because I don't give up on what I created, and I certainly won't give up on you. To come not as someone unworthy, but as someone beloved. My hand is still extended, not to punish, but to pull you out of what tried to keep you. Because even when you forgot me, I never let go of you. You've cried in rooms where no one noticed. You've whispered desperate prayers and heard nothing but your own breath echoing back. You called it abandonment. You thought I withdrawn, turned away, or lost interest in your pain. But child, I was never gone. I was waiting in the silence. I wasn't absent, I was inviting. That quiet wasn't rejection, it was space. Space for your heart to slow down, for your ears to tune in, for your distractions to die so my voice could live again in you. You wanted me to fill every second with confirmation, every moment with answers, every night with signs. But I'm not just the God of noise, I am the Lord of stillness. I don't always speak to your ears. Sometimes I press against your soul in a way that words could never capture. What you interpreted as distance was actually me allowing the room to grow between the clutter and your heart. Because intimacy can't thrive where there's no awareness. And you had grown too familiar with my presence without reverence. So I pulled the volume down, not to punish you, but to prepare you. I wanted your pursuit again. I longed for the hunger that used to drive you to me when you had nothing else. But now that you had filled your life with substitutes, my whispers no longer stirred you. So I paused, not because I left, but because I knew stillness would expose your thirst in ways busyness never could. I needed you to want me again, not for what I could do, but for who I am. That feeling of spiritual dryness. It wasn't proof I left. It was evidence that I was repositioning you. The absence you felt wasn't real, it was holy space being formed. So you could stop running. So you could finally look around and say, nothing else is enough. And that moment, that realization, is where real worship begins. That's where the veil thins. That's where your dependence returns. I am not a performer, responding to emotional cues. I am your shepherd, and sometimes the flock needs to feel the quiet before they recognize how desperately they need the voice that guides. You didn't lose me. You lost sensitivity, and I allowed the silence so you could remember the sound of my footsteps. You used to hear me everywhere, now you barely notice when I pass by. But that's changing. This silence isn't forever. It was never meant to be. It's a setup for reawakening, for rediscovery, for rekindling of your first love. I have been near every second. And now, as your spirit begins to stir, as you realize no replacement satisfied that inner ache, I want you to know I'm still here. I never moved. I never turned away. I simply gave you space so you could recognize how deeply you miss me. I waited for you to want me for me. Not for what I provide. Not for what I fix. Just me. And now, as you begin to return to that quiet place, don't be afraid of the silence. Enter it. Sit in it. Because you will find me there, speaking in ways the noise could never allow. You weren't abandoned. You were being invited back into a depth your busyness buried. And I've been waiting for you to realize. My silence was always an invitation, not a goodbye. I know how hard it's been to see doors swing open for others while yours remain shut. You've watched people celebrate the very things you've been praying for in secret. You've seen answers land in lives that don't seem to carry the same weight you've had to bear. And in the quiet corners of your heart, you've wondered, did I overlook you? Did I forget your name? Did I bypass your prayer? Let me speak into that ache. No, I didn't skip you. I didn't lose sight of you. I didn't decide someone else was more worthy. I simply scheduled your breakthrough differently. What you're seeing in others is not a sign of my absence in your life, it's a glimpse of what I can do. Not a threat, not a comparison, a confirmation. But your story was never meant to be identical to theirs. Your blessing is not on backorder, it's being perfected. You're not behind schedule, you're on a different track. One tailored to what I've planted in you. One designed to carry the weight of your specific calling. You see moments, but I see movements. You see snapshots, but I see timelines. And I refuse to rush what I've destined for endurance. If I gave it to you now, it wouldn't be ready, or worse, you wouldn't. I know what you've endured. I know how long you've waited. I know how quietly you've kept believing, even when disappointment wrapped itself around your faith like a fog. But here's what I need you to understand. I'm not just preparing the blessing, I'm preparing you to be able to hold it, carry it, and multiply it without losing yourself. The delay isn't denial, it's development. I'm cultivating your roots before the harvest appears. Because I'm not after temporary excitement, I'm after eternal fruit. You've compared your progress, thinking others were ahead, not realizing I've been building a deeper well in you. And when your time comes, and it won't look like theirs. It won't arrive with the same packaging, but it will carry weight. It will last. It will reflect my fingerprints so clearly, you'll realize why I had to take my time. So stop measuring your life by their season. Stop questioning your worth based on their wins. I know the timeline I wrote for you, and every second of waiting has not been wasted, it's been watering something greater. Your time is not late. It's sacred. And when it comes, it will not need to compete. It will stand on its own, firm, full, undeniable. Until then, trust me with the clock. Trust me with the silence. Trust me with the pace. Because when I move, it won't be a moment, it will be a manifestation of everything I promised, right on time. You've been staring at the calendar, watching the days pass, feeling as though everything is slipping out of reach. The waiting has made you question whether I've changed my mind. The delays have tempted you to settle for less. You've even started wondering if maybe your chance has expired, if somehow you missed the moment and I've moved on to someone else. But hear me. I am not operating on your clock, I govern eternity. I don't move according to pressure. I move according to purpose. And when I step in, I don't arrive early, because early would mean you weren't ready. I don't come late, because lateness would violate my nature. I come when the moment is so aligned with my intention that nothing can block what I'm about to release. I am not in a hurry because I am not uncertain. My timing is not built on reaction, it's built on revelation. I see what you cannot. I know what's ahead and what still needs to be built in you before you receive what you've been waiting for. You're anxious because you think it's all slipping away, but I'm steady because I know nothing is lost in me. What feels like a delay to you is actually the space where I refine, redirect, and reinforce what needs to be able to endure the promise I've prepared. I've seen you watching others get there before you. I've seen you worry that the opportunity is disappearing. But I didn't forget you. I've been positioning things around you, behind the scenes, in ways that don't make sense yet, but they will. When I move, it will be swift. It will be complete. It will be undeniable. And you will know that no delay was accidental. You will see that every closed door was divine preservation. You will look back on what felt like stillness and realize it was strategic alignment. I didn't miss your request. I didn't misplace your name. I've been holding it all in my hands, waiting, not because I'm withholding, but because I'm perfecting. I don't rush masterpieces. I don't release promises with loose ends. When I open the door, you won't have to force it. When I bring the answer, you won't have to question it. You will see my precision and how every piece fits. No struggle, no confusion, no scrambling, only confirmation. So stop doubting the process. Stop trying to measure my pace by human standards. I'm not so, I'm exact. And when I say it's time, everything that was stagnant will shift in a moment. Everything that was blocked will break open. Everything that didn't make sense will suddenly come into full view. You won't have to chase it, it will meet you where you are. But you must stay positioned. Stay faithful. Stay yielded. Because my timing isn't just about the blessing, it's about you being able to hold it without it crushing you. Trust my pace. Trust my hands. What I have for you will arrive exactly when it's supposed to, and not a moment too soon or too late. You were on the edge, so close to shutting it all down. Not just the routine, not just the schedule, but the hope you'd been carrying like a flickering flame for far too long. You were exhausted from believing without seeing, worn down by the weight of pretending to be okay when your faith felt paper thin. You didn't want to admit how fragile you felt. But I saw it. I was right there in the quiet moments when you said nothing, but your soul groaned for relief. And just when you thought no one noticed, just when your strength started slipping through your fingers, I sent a word. It may have come through a voice you least expected. A message. A phrase spoken in passing. A post you almost scrolled by, and something about it pierced through the haze of your discouragement. You paused. You breathed. You may not have cried, but you felt a stirring you hadn't felt in a while. That wasn't chance. That wasn't coincidence. That was me. I orchestrated that exact moment to remind you, I'm still in this with you. I didn't allow you to fall over the edge. I planted a whisper right where you were about to collapse. You assumed it was just timing. You thought maybe it was your mind playing tricks. But it was me slipping in through the cracks of your despair because I refused to let darkness write your ending. You've been asking for signs, but you've missed the ones I've already placed. Not because you weren't looking, but because discouragement has dimmed your awareness. Let me awaken it again. Let me show you just how many times I've stepped in unnoticed, how many times I routed a moment, delayed a decision, or dropped hope into a conversation just to keep you from giving up. You thought you were surviving by your own willpower, but grace has been carrying you when your legs stopped moving. You assumed the strength came from within, but it was me breathing on your dry bones each time you said, just one more day. And I'm not finished. I'm still surrounding you in ways you've yet to see. Still intervening. Still speaking. Still weaving my voice into unexpected places because I know how your heart works. I know what reaches you when nothing else does. You asked me to come loudly, but sometimes the most powerful rescues are quiet. Not dramatic. Not visible. But strategic. And this week, yes. This very week I stepped in again. I placed my hand on your shoulder through someone's compassion. I spoke to your soul through a sentence you didn't realize was sent from heaven. And though your mind tried to dismiss it, your spirit caught it. That flicker of hope that returned for a second, that was me, reminding you that I haven't left, that I still know where you are, that I won't let you quit when you're this close to something shifting. I'm not letting go of you. Not now. Not ever. Even when you forget how to pray, even when your worship feels empty, even when you stop expecting miracles, I still come. I still step in. I still love you through it all. You almost gave up this week, but I didn't let you, and that was never accidental. You've cried out in the secret places, desperate for confirmation. You've whispered, God, if you're really there, show me. Say something. Make it clear. You stood at crossroads, unable to move forward without a word from me. You've asked for signs. You begged for clarity. And now here it is. Not packaged in thunder or lightning. Not wrapped in flashes of light or dramatic visions. But in this exact moment. In these very words. I'm answering you. Don't overlook it because it came quietly. Don't dismiss it because it doesn't look like what you imagined. I'm not speaking to your eyes, I'm speaking to your spirit. And deep down, you feel it. You know this isn't ordinary. You know something is shifting inside you as these words unfold. That stirring you feel. That's me. Not inspiration. Not emotion. It's encounter. And I'm not speaking by accident. I've come because you've been asking. You may not have realized it, but every tear, every groan, every moment of restlessness, those were prayers. And I've heard them all. But now, instead of giving you another delay, I'm giving you an answer. And here's what I need you to understand. My voice won't always thunder. Sometimes it's hidden in the gentle, in the unexpected. If you keep waiting for the dramatic, you'll miss the divine. If you demand a burning bush, you might walk past the whisper meant to set your future in motion. You asked me to speak. I am. This message is not random. These words were formed for you precisely, intentionally, lovingly. I timed them to meet you in this moment, knowing exactly what you've been struggling with. You've wondered if I still speak, if I still guide, if I still intervene. I do. And I'm doing it now. Don't scroll past it. Don't harden your heart. Don't assume it's just another voice in the crowd. Because this voice, the one calling out to you, is the same one who knit you together in the secret place. I've been waiting for the moment you'd be still long enough to receive it. And now that you are, I'm not wasting time. I'm revealing what your soul's been craving. Clarity. Direction. Truth. You don't have to chase signs anymore. You don't have to search for answers outside of me. I am enough. My voice is enough. And it's speaking now. To your fear, I say, peace. To your confusion, I say, alignment. To your worry, I say, I'm already ahead of you. But I need you to recognize the weight of what's happening. This is not a passing word. It's a moment of decision. What you do with what you've just heard will shape what comes next. You've asked me to speak, and I did. The next move belongs to you. Will you pretend you didn't hear it? Or will you finally respond, fully, with no more conditions, no more hesitation, no more delay? My voice carries power, but it's only activated by your surrender. You wanted an answer. This is it. Don't miss it. You've mourned long enough over the things that slipped through your hands. The relationships that broke without closure. The seasons that ended without warning. The dreams that dissolved without explanation. I watched you grieve what could have been, and I didn't rush your tears, I counted every one. I held the sorrow you didn't show anyone. I didn't scold you for feeling the ache, I sat beside you in it. But now, listen to me. What's coming is greater. What I have in my hands far outweighs what you've buried beneath your disappointments. I know what was taken from you. I know what crumbled unexpectedly. But I also know what I've preserved, what I've prepared, and what I'm getting ready to release. I'm not asking you to forget what happened, I'm asking you to surrender your grip on it so I can replace ashes with beauty. Not a replica. Not a second-rate version. Something new. Something better. But you have to stop rehearsing your losses like they are permanent. You've built emotional memorials to moments I'm trying to heal you from. You've decorated ruins with nostalgia, convincing yourself nothing can surpass what once was. But I'm telling you now, if you will release the past, I will redeem it. I will take what hurt you and shape it into something that heals others. I will make the very ground you fell on the platform you rise from. I will turn the ache into authority, not the kind that boasts, but the kind that breaks chains. What you thought was the end was just the setup. You haven't seen restoration until you've seen what I can do with broken pieces willingly placed back in my hands. But this is the key. I cannot restore what you still idolize. I cannot pour into hands that won't let go. I won't force healing into places that keep choosing memory over movement. I'm not minimizing what you walked through, I'm just magnifying what I'm about to do. Because your story doesn't end in loss. Not if you say yes to me. Your yes is the doorway to the rebuilding. Not a whispered yes. Not a partial yes. A complete surrender that says, whatever it looks like, Lord, I trust you. That yes activates heaven. That yes releases the next chapter. You're not too late. You're not too broken. You haven't missed your window. But the longer you stare at what fell apart, the harder it will be to walk through the door I'm opening. I'm restoring time. I'm redeeming detours. I'm resurrecting what looked too far gone. But only if you step out of yesterday and into now. I'm offering you joy that doesn't borrow from the past. I'm offering purpose that doesn't require explanation. I'm offering peace that surpasses all your attempts at understanding. But I won't force it on you. This is a partnership. You say yes, I begin restoring. You release, I rebuild. Everything you lost is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of what I'm about to do next. And if you'll trust me, if you'll stop trying to make sense of it all and simply follow, I will restore so deeply, so fully, so miraculously. You'll look back and say, now I understand why it had to happen that way. Say yes. I'm waiting, amen.